Welcome to QuickBytes Education. Today's QuickByte is all about Exploratory Data Analysis, also called EDA, what it means, why it matters, and how data scientists use it to understand a dataset. Let's get started. Before a data scientist builds a machine learning model, creates a dashboard, or presents an insight, they need to understand the data. Because here's the truth, data is not always clean. Data is not always obvious, and data does not explain itself. That is why exploratory data analysis is so important. EDA is where you explore the data, ask questions, find patterns, and look for problems before jumping to conclusions. In this lesson, we'll cover 5 things. First, what exploratory data analysis means. Second, why EDA matters in data science. Third, the main steps of EDA. Fourth, the types of patterns and problems you look for. And fifth, how EDA helps with machine learning and decision-making. Exploratory data analysis, or EDA, is the process of exploring a dataset to understand what is inside it. It usually happens after data is collected, but before deeper analysis, dashboards, or machine learning. The goal is not to prove something right away. The goal is to investigate. You are trying to answer questions like, what data do we have? How many rows and columns are there? What does each column mean? Are there missing values? Are there unusual values? Are there patterns? Are there relationships between variables? So EDA is like getting to know the dataset before you use it. EDA matters because bad data can lead to bad conclusions. If you skip the exploration step, you might miss important problems. For example, a dataset might have missing values. Some columns might have the wrong data type. There may be duplicate rows. There may be outliers, which are values that are unusually high or unusually low. Or there may be patterns that completely change how you understand the data. EDA helps you catch these issues early. It also helps you decide what questions are worth asking next. The first step in EDA is understanding the basic structure of the dataset. A dataset is a collection of data. In many beginner examples, a dataset looks like a table. Rows usually represent records. Columns usually represent variables. For example, in a student dataset, each row might be one student. The columns might include age, grade level, test score, attendance, and study hours. At the start of EDA, you want to know the dataset's shape. Shape means how many rows and columns the dataset has. This gives you a quick sense of the size and structure of the data. Next, you check the data types. A data type tells you what kind of information is stored in a column. For example, a column might contain numbers, text, dates, or categories. This matters because data tools treat different types of data differently. You also look for missing values. A missing value means a piece of information is blank, unknown, or not recorded. For example, a customer dataset might be missing ages for some customers. A student dataset might be missing test scores. Missing values are important because they can affect averages, charts, and machine learning models. After that, data scientists often use summary statistics. Summary statistics are quick numbers that describe the data. Common examples include the mean, median, minimum, maximum, and standard deviation. The mean is the average. The median is the middle value. The minimum is the smallest value. The maximum is the largest value. Standard deviation shows how spread out the values are. These numbers help you understand the center, range, and spread of the data. For example, if you are looking at test scores, summary statistics can quickly show the average score, the highest score, the lowest score, and how much scores vary. EDA also uses data visualization. A visualization is a chart or graph that helps you see patterns more easily. Bar charts can compare categories. Line charts can show trends over time. Histograms can show how values are distributed. Scatter plots can show relationships between two variables. Box plots can help show spread and outliers. Charts are useful because patterns are often easier to see visually than in a table full of numbers. A good chart can help you notice something you might miss by only looking at rows and columns. One of the biggest goals of EDA is finding patterns. A pattern is something that repeats or stands out in the data. For example, sales might increase during certain months. Students who study more hours might have higher test scores. Customers from one region might buy a certain product more often. Data scientists also look for relationships between variables. A variable is a column or feature in a data set. For example, study hours and test scores are two variables. If they move together in some way, there may be a relationship. But remember, a relationship does not always mean one thing causes the other. EDA helps you notice relationships, but deeper analysis is needed before making strong claims. EDA also helps you find outliers. An outlier is a value that is very different from the rest of the data. For example, if most purchases are between $10 and $100, but one purchase is $10,000, that value is an outlier. Outliers are not always wrong. Sometimes they are real and important, but sometimes they are data entry errors. For example, someone may have typed an extra zero by mistake. EDA helps you spot outliers so you can decide whether to investigate, fix, remove, or keep them. EDA is also important before machine learning. Machine learning means computers learn patterns from data instead of being manually programmed for every single rule. If the data has problems, the model may learn the wrong patterns. EDA helps data scientists understand which features might be useful, which columns may need cleaning, and whether the data is ready for modeling. It also helps identify issues like missing values, imbalanced categories, unusual patterns, or possible data leakage. Data leakage happens when information accidentally gives the model an unfair clue about the answer. So EDA helps make machine learning projects more reliable. Here's a beginner-friendly EDA checklist. Check the number of rows and columns. Understand what each column means. Check data types. Look for missing values. Look for duplicates. Use summary statistics. Create simple charts. Look for patterns. Look for outliers. Compare groups. And write down the main insights or questions you discover. That checklist gives you a strong starting point for exploring almost any data set. Here's what you just learned. Exploratory Data Analysis, or EDA, is the process of exploring a dataset to understand what is inside it. EDA helps data scientists check data quality, find patterns, spot outliers, compare groups, and understand relationships. Rows usually represent records. Columns usually represent variables. Data types show what kind of information is stored in each column. Missing values are blanks or unknown pieces of information. Summary statistics describe the center, range, and spread of the data. Visualizations help you see patterns more clearly. Outliers are unusual values that may need investigation. And EDA is an important step before dashboards, deeper analysis, or machine learning models. If this helped you understand exploratory data analysis, watch the full Data Science for Beginners playlist next. Like, subscribe, and keep building your knowledge with QuickBytes education, one QuickByte at a time.